The Bible half hour, everybody knows the aim, and you are welcome in. And apparently, I said it was March a few sessions ago. It is not March. It is June, and you are welcome in. June 2025, a group of people gather throughout the week to read the Bible together, which is what's supposed to happen. It's not really a text for individuals. I think we've overplayed that in the modern world. It's all about Jesus. It's all about church. Go and join a church, someone, and live this book out. Learn about the God of it. It's a life-changing book. And we are in the book of Yeshua, chapter 8. And if you've never been before, that doesn't matter. You're welcome. Don't worry about anything. Just jump right in to the land-conquering book of Joshua. It's actually, though, about church inheriting heaven, with a bit of justice against evil and God's righteous judgments along the way. Because it's not going to be this pleasant, easy thing when church finally does inherit the heavenly land. Well, it will be pleasant, but also be extremely frightening and full of judgment and wrath, and also joy and happiness. And you're all welcome in. So let's jump right in. Where are we then? What's going on today? Now, where's that chat with you all in it? Okay. What is up, Chris, Henry, and Eric? Good to see you over the weekend. What is up, Angela? Diane, the church displays looked amazing. The wall was incredible. Can we keep the wall up? Diane, thank you so much. Yes, it can stay up for a little while. She has spoken. Oh yeah, if you're only staying for a couple of minutes, I need to say that this is not happening tomorrow, because I leave here, this room. I have to do one or two things. Then I have to drive to a conference in North Wales. Back Friday for this. All right, here we go. AI, or I. This date, may we think, speak, and feel in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Take the whole army with you and go up and attack Ai. For I have delivered into your hands the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land. You shall do to Ai and its kings what you did to Jericho and its king, except that you may carry off their plunder and livestock for yourselves. Set an ambush behind the city." So Joshua and the whole army moved out to attack Ai. He chose 30,000 of his best fighting men and set them out at night. What is up, Chris Williams? With these orders, listen carefully. You are to set an ambush behind the city. Don't go very far from it. All of you be on the alert. I and all those with me will advance on the city. And when the men come out against us, as they did before, we will flee from them. They will pursue us until we have lured them away from the city, for they will say they are running away from us, as they did before. So when we flee from them, you are to rise up from ambush and take the city. The Lord your God will give it into your hand. When you have taken the city, set it on fire. Do what the Lord has commanded. See to it, you have my orders. Then Joshua sent them off, and they went to the place of ambush and lay in wait between Bethel and Ai, to the west of Ai. But Joshua spent the night with the people. Early the next morning, Joshua mustered his army, and he and the leaders of Israel marched before them to Ai. The entire force that was with him marched up and approached the city and arrived in front of it. They set up camp north of Ai, with the valley between them and the city. Joshua had taken about 5,000 men and set them in ambush between Bethel and Ai to the west of the city. So the soldiers took up their positions with the main camp to the north of the city and the ambush to the west of it. That night Joshua went into the valley. When the king of Ai saw this, he and all the men of the city hurried out early in the morning to meet Israel in battle at a certain place overlooking the Arabah. But he did not know that an ambush had been set against him behind the city. Joshua and all Israel let themselves be driven back before them, and they fled towards the wilderness. All the men of Ai were called to pursue them, and they pursued Joshua and were lured away from the city. Not a man remained in Ai or Bethel who did not go after Israel. They left the city open and went in pursuit of Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Hold out towards Ai the javelin that is in your hand, for into your hand I will deliver the city." So Joshua held out towards the city the javelin that was in his hand. And as soon as he did this, the men in the ambush rose quickly from their position and rushed forward. They entered the city and captured it and quickly set it on fire. The men of Ai looked back and saw the smoke of the city rising up into the sky, but they had no chance to escape in any direction. The Israelites who had been fleeing towards the wilderness had turned back against their pursuers. For when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city and the smoke was going up from the city, they turned around and attacked the men of Ai. Those in the ambush also came out of the city against them, so that they were caught in the middle with Israelites on both sides. Israel cut them down, leaving neither survivors nor fugitives. But they took the king of Ai alive and brought him to Mini Jesus, Yeshua. When Israel had finished killing all the men of Ai in the fields and in the wilderness where they had chased them, and when every one of them had been put to the sword, all the Israelites returned to Ai and killed those who were in it. 12,000 men and women fell that day, all the people of Ai. For Joshua did not draw back the hand that held out his javelin until he had destroyed all who lived in Ai. But Israel did carry off for themselves the livestock and plunder of this city, as the Lord had instructed Joshua. So Joshua burned Ai and made it a permanent heap of ruins, a desolate place to this day. He impaled the body of the king of Ai on a pole and left it there until evening. At sunset, Joshua ordered them to take the body from the pole and throw it down at the entrance of the city gate. And they raised a large pile of rocks over it, which remains to this day. Those last verses here, 28 and 29, Ai is completely judged and destroyed, a permanent heap of ruins, and their king has been humiliated. There is no way for evil to come back to that city. That is a mini picture of the final great day. Sometimes Christians in their prayers and general conversation come across as being dead against all forms of war. If someone starts a war, if someone uses violence, if people are caught in the crossfire and fallout, we instantly condemn them as being non-Christian. I'm not so sure that holy and just wars are entirely un-Christian, or that we should be against people that start holy, righteous wars in defense of their land or church. I just don't know that you can write all that off as easily as we sometimes do. And do such people that do come to these passages and worship the Lord who expunges evil? Or do they scoot on by to some other passage? I don't know, but we're reading the whole Bible here to get a complete view of these things. And even then, we won't really have a complete view because our minds are broken and finite. And I can't even choose my pair of socks without help. Then Joshua built on Mount Ebal an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded the Israelites. He built it according to what is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of uncut stones, on which no iron tool had been used. On it they offered to the Lord burnt offerings and sacrificed fellowship offerings. There in the presence of the Israelites, Joshua wrote on stones a copy of the law of Moses. All the Israelites, with their elders, officials, and judges, were standing on both sides of the ark of the covenant of the Lord, facing the Levitical priests who carried it. Both the foreigners living among them and the native born were there. Half of the people stood in front of Mount Gerizim, and half of them in front of Mount Ebal, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had formerly commanded when he gave instructions to bless the people of Israel. Afterwards, Joshua read all the words of the law, the blessings and the cursings, just as it is written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses had commanded that Joshua did not read to the whole assembly of Israel. They did a Bible hour, everybody, including the women and children and the foreigners who lived among them. Little baby Eric there for that primitive Bible hour. So I'm not sure we should always pray in public even, Lord, end all wars. Or, Lord, remove that leader that started that war. Because, I mean, we've only read the BBC's report on it, which has massive bias anyway. Perhaps that war is being used by the Lord God to expunge evil. Perhaps there's more to that leader than we've been led to know. Joshua chapter 9. Now when all the kings west of the Jordan heard about these things, the kings in the hill country, in the western foothills, and along the entire coast of the Mediterranean Sea as far as Lebanon, the kings of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, they came together to wage war against Yeshur and Israel. However, when the people of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they resorted to a ruse. So remember this. Joshua 9 and the Gibeonites. Have this in mind for the rest of your life, this story. They went as a delegation whose donkeys were loaded with worn-out sacks and old wineskins cracked and mended. They put worn and patched sandals on their feet and wore old clothes. All the bread of their food supply was dry and mouldy. Then they went to Joshua in the camp at Gilgal and said to him and the Israelites, "We have come from a distant country. Make a treaty with us." The Israelites said to the Hivites, "But perhaps you live near us, so how can we make a treaty with you?" "We are your servants," they said to Joshua. But Joshua asked, "Who are you and where do you come from?" They answered, "Your servants have come from a very distant country because of the fame of the Lord your God. For we have heard reports of him, all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, Sihon of Heshbon and Og of Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth. And our elders and all those living in the country said to us, 'Take provisions for your journey, go and meet them, and say to them, we are your servants, make a treaty with us.' This bread of ours was warm when we packed it at home on the day we left to come to you, but now see how dry and mouldy it is. And these wineskins that we filled were new, but see how cracked they are. And our clothes and sandals are worn out by the very long journey." The Israelites sampled their provisions, but did not inquire of the Lord. Then Joshua made a treaty of peace with them to let them live, and the leaders of the assembly ratified it by oath. 3 days after they made the treaty with the Gibeonites, the Israelites heard that they were neighbors living near them. So the Israelites set out on the 3rd day, came to their cities Gibeon, Kaphirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim. But the Israelites did not attack them, because the leaders of the assembly had sworn on oath to them by the Lord, the God of Israel. The whole assembly grumbled against the leaders, but all the leaders answered, "We have given them our oath by the Lord, the God of Israel, and we cannot touch them now. This is what we will do to them. We will let them live, so that God's wrath will not fall on us for breaking the oath we swore to them." They continued, "Let them live, but let them be woodcutters and water carriers in the service of the whole assembly." So the leader's promise was kept. Then Joshua summoned the Gibeonites and said, "Why did you deceive us by saying, 'We live a long way from you,' while you actually live near us? You are now under a curse. You will never be released from service as woodcutters and water carriers for the house of my God." They answered Jeshua, "Your servants were clearly told how the Lord your God had commanded his servant Moses to give you the whole land and wipe out all its inhabitants from before you. So we feared for our lives because of you, and that is why we did this. We are now in your hands. Do to us whatever seems good and right to you." So Joshua saved them from the Israelites, and they did not kill them. That day he made the Gibeonites woodcutters and water carriers for the assembly, to provide for the needs of the altar of the Lord at the place the Lord would choose. And that is what they are to this day. Here's why I like that story. A group that is under judgment then gets saved and rescued. They don't deserve it. And then they get to be servants in church. Humble little servants. So they join Israel, and actually some Gibeonites go on to be great Christians in the Old Testament. Great workers for church life. So I like the Gibeonites. I like that they get to join the life of church, and they don't deserve it. And they get to carry on now doing their little thing, their little arts and crafts and water carrying and wood cutting, and they're in. It's just an interesting way to get in. Joshua chapter 10. Now Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had taken Ai and totally destroyed it. So you want to remember Jebus or Jerusalem, because that's going to feature quite heavily, as it already has. Probably even more so than so far. Heard that Joshua had taken Ai and totally destroyed it, doing to Ai and its kings as he had done to Jericho and its king, and that the people of Gibeon had made a treaty of peace with Israel and had become their allies. He and his people were very much alarmed at this, because Gibeon was an important city, like one of the royal cities. It was larger than Ai, and all its men were good fighters. So Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, appealed to Hoham, king of Hebron. Remember Hebron, everybody. David loves Hebron and Jerusalem. Piram, king of Jarmuth, Jephthah, king of Lachish, and Debir, king of Eglon. "Come up and help me attack Gibeon," he said, "because it has made peace with Joshua and the Israelites." Remember these 5 kings. Then the 5 kings of the Amorites, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon, joined forces. They moved up with their troops and took up positions against Gibeon and attacked it. The Gibeonites then sent word to Joshua in the camp at Gilgal, "Do not abandon your servants. Come up to us quickly and save us. Help us, because all the Amorite kings from the hill country have joined forces against us." So Joshua marched up from Gilgal with his entire army, including all the best fighting men. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them. I have given them into your hand. Not one of them will be able to withstand you." I don't know what you're going through at the moment, people. Well, actually, I do know what some of you are going through, because I'm involved in your life. But it is a repeated theme in the Bible that the Lord has already given our enemies into our hand. Whatever that means, it means this, that if you were to plumb all the way to the very bottom of your current difficulty, it is not darkness all the way down. It's just not. Something's there for you. It's the Lord and his light. The enemy, though you have to ride the storm at the moment, it has been given into the hand of the Lord, placed under his feet. After an all-night march from Gilgal, Joshua took them by surprise. The Lord threw them into confusion before Israel, so Joshua and the Israelites defeated them completely at Gibeon. Israel pursued them along the road going up to Beth Horon and cut them down all the way to Azekah and Makkedah. As they fled before Israel on the road down to Beth Horon and Azekah, the Lord hurled large hailstones down on them, and more of them died from the hail and were killed by the swords of the Israelites. On the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua said to the Lord in the presence of Israel, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, over the valley of Aijalon." So the sun stood still and the moon stopped, till the nation avenged itself on its enemies, as it is written in the book of Jashar. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. There has never been a day like it, or since. A day when the Lord listened to a human being. Surely the Lord was fighting for Israel. And Joshua returned with all Israel to the camp at Gilgal. Now the 5 kings had fled and hidden in the cave at Makkedah. When Joshua was told that the 5 kings had been found hiding in the cave at Makkedah, he said, "Roll large rocks up to the mouth of the cave and post some men there to guard it. But don't stop. Pursue your enemies, attack them from the rear, and don't let them reach their cities, for the Lord your God has given them into your hand." So Joshua and the Israelites defeated them completely. But a few survivors managed to reach their fortified cities. The whole army then returned safely to Joshua in the camp at Makkedah, and no one uttered a word against the Israelites. Joshua said, "Open the mouth of the cave and bring those 5 kings out to me." So they brought the 5 kings out of the cave, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon. When they had brought these kings to Joshua, he summoned all the men of Israel and said to the army commanders who had come with him, "Come here and put your feet on the necks of these kings." So they came forward and placed their feet on the necks. Joshua said to them, "Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Be strong and courageous. This is what the Lord will do to all the enemies that you are going to fight." Then Joshua put the kings to death and exposed their bodies on 5 poles, and they were left hanging on the poles until evening. At sunset, Joshua gave the order, and they took them down from the poles and threw them into the cave where they had been hiding. At the mouth of the cave, they placed large rocks which are there to this day. Standing on the necks of kings. So the Amorite kings, these 5 kings are facing the same fate as the previous kings for the innocent blood that they've been spilling, and they are now under the feet of the church. Genesis chapter 3 teaches that all evil will be placed under the foot. The chief of evil will be under the heel of Christ and the church. So this is a symbol that's been weaving through the books of the Old Testament. Under the feet evil shall go. It's the great promise of Genesis 3. Paul, the apostle, loves this promise, and he says in Ephesians, God has placed all things under the feet of Jesus and appointed him to be head of everything, over everything, for the church. So now it's like, well, church is going to be stamping on evil too. Yeah, it happens here in Joshua. And also listen to this one in Romans 16. The God of peace shall soon crush Satan under your feet. So the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with you. Paul tells the church, the Christians there in Rome, that Satan will be placed under the church's feet. And there's that motif again. Evil under the head of church, Christ. Evil under the church itself. Stamping it out. That's what church exists to do. We don't even name evil anymore. In fact, some wings of church enjoy and practice and celebrate evil. It's all gone crazy. I don't know what the gospel means anymore. But here it means that the Amorite kings have their heads chopped off. That's what it means. That day Joshua took Makkedah, he put the city and its king to the sword and totally destroyed everyone in it. He left no survivors. And he did it to the king of Makkedah as he did to the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and all Israel with him moved on from Makkedah to Libnah and attacked it. The Lord also gave that city and its king into Israel's hand. The city and everyone in it Joshua put to the sword. He left no survivors there. He did it to its king as he had done to the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and all Israel with him moved on from Libnah to Lachish. He took up positions against it and attacked it. The Lord gave Lachish into Israel's hands. And Joshua took it on the second day. The city and everyone he put to the sword, just as he had done to Libnah. Meanwhile, Horam, king of Gezer, had come up to help Lachish, but Joshua defeated him and his army. No survivors were left. Then Joshua and all Israel with him moved on from Lachish to Eglon. They took up positions against it and attacked it. They captured it that same day and put it to the sword and totally destroyed everyone in it, just as they had done to Lachish. Then Joshua and all Israel with him went up from Eglon to Hebron and attacked it. They took the city and put it to the sword, together with its king, its villages, and everyone in it. They left no survivors, just as at Eglon. They totally destroyed it and everyone in it. Then Joshua and all Israel with him turned around and attacked Debir. They took the city, its king, and its villages, and put them to the sword. Everyone in it they totally destroyed. They left no survivors. They did to Debir and its king as they had done to Libnah and its king, and to Hebron. So Joshua subdued the whole region, including the hill country, the Negev, the western foothills, and the mountain slopes, together with all their kings. He left no survivors. He totally destroyed all who breathed, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded. Joshua subdued them from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza, from the whole region of Goshen to Gibeon. All these kings and their lands Joshua conquered in one campaign, because the Lord, the God of Israel, fought for Israel. Then Joshua returned with all Israel to the camp at Gilgal. And we end, everybody. Do not forget that there's no class tomorrow. Back on Friday, because I'm driving now. But it is interesting to see that most people that have a problem with the book of Joshua are those who are largely living a comfortable life, free from the evil the evils of really tyrannical rulers and thugs. All right, sometimes our leaders have secret birthday parties when they're supposed to be socially distancing. And they line their pockets a bit more than they should. But I'm talking real evils, rulers and thugs. We are not under that regime at the moment. It's also interesting, and yet it's people like us that have the biggest problem. That's because we don't know what it's like to be in these places, crying out for justice. I watched a video yesterday of Muslims chasing Christians out of houses and churches in northern Nigeria. Men, women and children with machetes. Because they love Christ. We have no idea what it is for those Christians to read the book of Joshua and say, yes, Lord, one day do this to our enemies. Because we're here in our comfortable little homes, thinking that we're owed everything in life. And yet we bay for Trump's blood, Putin's blood. We cheer if someone were to stamp them out. Yet that's nothing. They are nothing compared to these kings. Angry Westerners largely benefiting from the legacy of Christian law, order, respect and human dignity. That's what we are. We can't enter into these books like we think we can if we're entering in to judge the Lord of these books. And on that note, everybody, I wish you a very good day full of gospel, hope and justice, standing against evil. See you Friday.